Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trump Tourney Tracker. It is Wednesday, September 3rd. It's good to be with you. We're not counting down. We're looking at the top authoritarian creep news in the last 24 hours as things have just been, accelerating. It seems that we're accelerating towards authoritarianism in a way that we couldn't have ever expected. Olga Lautman is the creator and writer of the Trump Tourney Tracker. Olga, there's a lot of news happening today, but I think the thing that's dominating everybody's attention is the quite impressive press conference today by the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's human trafficking and assault. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that press conference. It was quite a sight, and also a bipartisan effort, even though it included some people that we don't really hold in our high regard. What was your thought about it?
Well, I didn't watch the full press conference, but I did tune in and watched, probably 15, 20 minutes of it. And I mean, it's horrifying that these victims had to come to this, that the government failed them, that the Trump regime now is failing them by covering up what is happening, and that it had to come to this, that they really are being re-traumatized and had to go to the Capitol to tell their stories, which are very personal and something that really changed their lives because of these monsters. All while Ghislaine is living, in Club Med these days. One victim or survivor that I paid attention to, I mean, the poor thing is standing there and like you see her hand shaking as she's, talking. This is not what we're supposed to do. I mean, they were raped as kids. This is not how you treat people who were, kids who were raped. Like as a country should have, better protections for children and not put them through this, even though they're older now. But I mean, I'm sure for them, they've lived with this every single day of their life.
Mm.
And more so when Epstein comes back in the news. And this whole thing, it's horrible. And we really, as a society, need to rethink, how we do things because this is not what you do to kids who were raped. Like they should be handed the most protection by all of us, by the government, by everyone.
Absolutely. And then you see the president in the Oval Office calling it a democratic hoax, telling everyone to move on. I mean, what would possess the president of the United States and listening to all these survivors recount their horrific ordeals? What would possess him to be saying, let's move on, it's a hoax? I mean, it makes no sense for the president to say that. Normal presidents would say, this is a horrific thing that needs a lot of investigation. And I'm sorry that these people went through it. These Americans should not have gone through this. Instead, he's calling it a hoax.
Well, he's always on the wrong side of everything. I mean, he really thinks that Ukraine is responsible for the genocide that's
Mm.
being committed by Russia and that Ukraine somehow invaded itself. So he's always, finds it's always on the wrong side of everything. I am grateful to him because you know what, I rather have him say this and the country see him for the monster he is. The fact that he doesn't care that you just have
Mm.
over 100 survivors standing there recounting their stories of being trafficked and raped. So I mean, I'd
By his
rather
best
have
friend.
him.
By his best friend.
Yeah, I'd rather have him say that so people can see than, him schmooze his way and actually pretend to care because he frankly doesn't. And that's it. So, it
You don't
is
think
what
he
it is.
cares, or do you think he's implicated and he's just trying to cover up? Because I think that's where the
I
story is
think
heading.
I don't think he cares about the victims, and I do think he's trying to cover up his role, whatever it was, with Epstein. But I think, he doesn't care about the victims. He doesn't care. He talks even with Ukraine. Oh, so many amount of people are dying per week. He doesn't
Mm.
care if they're dying. For him, he has no empathy. I mean, this is such a dark
Mm.
person that I just don't think he even has,
The
the
capacity for it.
mindset. No, yeah.
But on the other hand, this is potentially, as we talk about authoritarian creep, if this is a cover up, and it's sure to me looks like a cover up,
This
it's
is a
probably one of the
cover up.
biggest cover ups in political scandals in history and in American history. And yet, he's done this as part of this authoritarian sweep that he's doing through the governments. He's basically taken the Department of Justice and utilizing it as a vehicle to cover up his crimes or his friends' crimes. Um, and that is not, of course, what the Department of Justice is. And it's of course, not what the American Constitution says about justice. So it
Well,
really is a challenge.
Well, in all fairness, he's covering it up to protect his role, but you had a failure across state and federal governments because, I mean, frankly, Epstein should have been prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law in 2008 when these abuses and rape and the trafficking started coming out. This is when he should have been stopped, not in 2019. So clearly this is, a failure by the government, and apparently there are too many powerful people involved that for decades kept this under the lid. And that's it, because people should have gone to jail. I mean, the local Palm Beach Sheriff County Department investigated it.
Yeah.
You had state Florida officials who investigated it. They knew, the victims told them who raped them. And yet you had what, Epstein arrested in 19 after a short stint in 2008 where he literally can leave prison, which I've never heard of, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't even understand how that works.
But what's happening
Leave.
currently is the president of the United States is telling his Department of Justice to hide a major criminal element, a major criminal enterprise that he was probably a part of, and he's instructing them to hide it from the public
Yeah.
view.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. We've talked about it, since this whole Epstein thing happened when, interestingly, Elon Musk set off these chain of events the first week of June when he, randomly, out of nowhere, posted that Trump is in the Epstein files.
Mm.
I mean, this is pretty much what set all of
Yeah,
this off.
absolutely.
And then, disappeared and got several lucrative contracts and decided to shut his mouth, drop his party, and continue, servicing Trump and Republicans. But yeah, no, we know Trump is covering it up. And hopefully these, survivors will get their justice. We'll see people actually go to jail for this because they deserve nothing less than that. The people who did
Mm,
this to them, anyone and everyone
mm,
involved, should be, prosecuted.
exactly.
Regardless, you can't allow these type of crimes to get away.
Absolutely not. Talk to me a little bit about what's going on in Congress, because we're going to get this discharge petition. It looks like it may actually pass the House. Stunningly, that would be an amazing moment to see Republicans or some Republicans, grow enough of a backbone to challenge the president on this. But it is interesting that we're starting to see sort of a bipartisan effort here. This is not the old school MAGA, so closed, so tight that they don't break ranks. They seem to be breaking ranks here. This could be an issue that really weakens Trump going forward. What are your thoughts on that politically?
I do think that it will weaken him, but I think, we also, cannot solely count on this
Mm,
weakening him, that we all have to do our part to stop him. Because, I
yeah.
mean, you know, the media will cover this, but one of the stories, for instance, that we're going to share today in the tracker, it's not getting any coverage, like zero. So I do think it'll weaken him, but at the same time, it is up to every single person in this country to stop him. And as far as the bipartisan, I mean, really, you only have what? Marjorie Taylor Greene
Well,
and
and
Massey.
Massey, yeah. But you also had Mace coming out looking very distressed out of the hearing yesterday, crying and so distraught.
We'll
Another is
see.
as well.
We'll
Yeah.
see,
I
because
mean,
the
this is a good time.
reports are.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the reports are that Trump is really calling Congress people and threatening them not to sign anything. So, I mean, someone
Yes.
really
Which
doesn't
is why
want this.
we should be calling our Congress people and saying to them, you really want them to pass this, especially if one of your Congress people is on the bubble here, is one of these people who is considering voting for it. I think it's really important to put as much pressure as we can on Congress to get these FBI files. We have to get these files out because that's how we get to the truth. It's the only way we get to the truth. Let's get into the Trump tyranny tracker for today. What is the day today? I think it's 2/26. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah, recap. Today's the
Okay.
27th.
Okay. So this is what's leading the tracker today. Since Trump's inauguration, political committees have spent more than $931,000 at his properties, with the RNC accounting for the majority. A quarter of House Republicans have directed campaign or PAC money to Trump businesses. The president himself has visited his own resorts and clubs over 100 times this term, creating a direct pipeline from political donations to his personal business. He's turning being a president to a cash center for his hotels.
Absolutely. And before I get into that, someone talked about Mace, breaking, for all the insanity of her, because she really is one of the more out there politicians. She is a survivor, allegedly, of sexual abuse. So I think, anyone who has gone through this will break them or at least re-traumatize
Yeah,
them.
for
So that
sure.
could be why she, came out, and why she would or might stand with the women. We'll see what happens. But as far as this, yes, I mean, whether it's crypto, whether it's real estate deals, whether it's the secret meeting, that Kushner and Witkoff and Trump had to frickin' turn Gaza. Imagine, I mean, this is genocide to go pick up a group of 2 million people, move them off of their land to build condos and waterfront luxury buildings. I mean, this is really, I just want to get back to our normal timeline. But
Yeah, real do. It's just
every
horrific. It's just
it,
horrific. Like you can't think of anything worse to do to these people than this. After everything that they've been through, and now you're going to just turn this into a resort, and they claim that it's going to be welcomed by the Palestinians. I mean, how's they going to how are they going to welcome this? Being servitude to Donald Trump for the rest of their lives. I mean, this is a proud people who've been fighting for their independence.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, no one welcomes being taken off their land. I can
Yeah.
tell you, Ukrainians are, bleeding every day for already 11 years fighting for their land. And it is genocide under the Geneva Convention, displacing people from their territory.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that we had this secret meeting, we have God knows what money flowing in from Russia, from Qatar, from UAE, from everywhere.
Mhm.
And then we have these political PACs that are paying um basically, Trump for his resorts to stay at probably an inflated rate. And
Probably.
this specifically really should piss everyone off because we're paying for it. Like, why am I paying with my tax money for some freaking political party to, be billing Trump, God knows what amount of money to stay at his resort. Regardless, everything he's doing, whether it's crypto, 5 billion, excuse
Mm.
me, 5 billion on paper, the Trump family made the past few days, whether it's the bribe of a jet from Qatar to, whitewash their egregious behavior and human rights violations. Um, he's doing it all publicly. And this just shows you how emboldened he is that he doesn't even feel the need to hide any of
No,
this.
he doesn't. He doesn't at all. Now to a chilling development in immigration enforcement. The Trump administration will pay state and local police up to $1,000 each quarter for meeting immigration arrest targets under ICE's 287G program. About 8,500 officers across 40 states are already deputized to enforce immigration law, with thousands more currently in training. This creates a financial incentive for police to prioritize immigration enforcement ahead of community safety.
This puts a bounty on every brown and
Yeah,
black person. This
yeah,
is what it is. This is going to be racial profiling on steroids. If we think what we're seeing now, is bad, wait till, you start getting local police departments involved and, police officers involved, paying them bounties to go and hunt down black and brown people. I mean, again, this is another egregious act that really should be getting some kind of attention
mm,
and isn't. I mean, unless we're discussing it, but I can promise this was not discussed on MSNBC or CNN. And these are the actions people should pay close attention to, because on top of this, Trump is also building his own, private mercenary, paramilitary, police force, which will be turned against all of us. Today
Yeah.
they're hunting brown and black people. Tomorrow they're going to be hunting everyone.
And also using our taxpayer dollars to get those forces, the ICE forces, recruited. There's signing bonuses for each one of those people who joins this ICE force. I mean, that's a lot of money that they're spending on just the signing benefits, the bonuses they're giving. And now on top of this, they're giving local police $1,000 a quarter. That's $4,000 a year for participating in this immigration roundup. And as you point out, much more than that down the line. Very disturbing developments.
Yeah, and just to add, I mean, he deputized not deputized, he federalized the National Guard in D.C. I mean, we're really paying National Guard now to clean parks and to take the trash out of like the parks. This is what they're doing.
It's
I
the
mean,
beautification of the capital. That's what
can
they're
you
doing.
imagine if you sign up to serve your country and they send you to go clean garbage?
Yeah.
And to pick up, trash, and to like beautify a park. I mean, come on, the whole thing again, everything is just.
Trump has asked for an additional amount of money to do that for the capital, right? So he's now asking for even more money from a country that's already so deeply in debt to pay for his beautification using military force, which costs, of course, a fortune more compared to ordinary teams doing the same thing. In Spokane, Washington, Afghanistan war veteran Bajun Mavalwala was arrested by the FBI and charged with conspiracy to impede or injure officers after joining a protest against ICE. Though he's not accused of assault, he faces up to 6 years in prison. And legal experts warn that this is a broad conspiracy charge, is an unusual tool to be using against somebody who's protesting.
Yeah, so this actually is something we should all pay attention to, because he was at a protest. This is the man who served our country. He was at a protest, and he basically is being charged for conspiracy.
Oh, frozen.
Against ICE agents. I mean, this is such a overreaching charge.
Conspiracy, yeah.
And this is something we're getting a glimpse to see of how they are going to turn obscure charges against people who participate in protests. So this is something to keep an
Who's he
eye on.
conspiring with? Did they say he was conspiring with, or
The protesters.
But I mean, that'd be
don't want
interesting if that's
ICE.
what they're doing. That they're taking one protester who does one bad thing and then trying to get as many other people in a conspiracy charge because they were in the same protest together. I mean, that's very dangerous. If that goes,
No, it is, and it just shows you that they're really like using the federal law. I mean, weaponizing the federal
Yeah.
law against us. The one good positive that I can say, because I do like positive
You do.
things,
Hard to
it's
find them
indeed.
these days.
I know, but in D.C., the grand jury has thrown out 7 cases, including the famous Subway sandwich guy.
Yeah.
Who threw the sandwich, and then he got charged with federal crimes, and they threw out the case. So
Because it
the
wasn't a
grand.
felony, obviously. I mean, this is ridiculous to go and try to get the guy in a felony for throwing a sandwich. I mean, it's basically American to throw a sandwich. It's like it's part of what you can do in America that you can't do anywhere else.
Exactly. So the
That
good news
doesn't
is
happen.
that the grand jury is refusing to even indict these cases, and
that's very rare for prosecutors to bring charges in front of a grand jury. For the grand jury not to actually go ahead and approve those charges is very rare. So the people are standing up.
Especially the saying goes that you could prosecute a ham sandwich
No, that's
or
right.
something, whatever that
Wasn't it
saying
Roy
was.
Cohen? I think Roy Cohen said that.
Yeah.
I think
Or
so.
whatever that saying with ham
Yeah.
sandwich. Well, apparently not the Subway sandwich.
Not that guy.
That one did not work.
He's our national hero now. Our final story today, Trump has lifted a hold on a $2 million contract with Israeli-founded Paragon Solutions, giving ICE access to graphite. It's one of the world's most powerful spyware tools. The software can infiltrate any phone, bypass encryption on WhatsApp and Signal, and track movements and turn devices into listening bugs. Wow, this is an incredibly powerful device or tool that they've gotten permission to use. ICE now has surveillance capabilities that can basically spy on anyone's phone.
Yeah.
Use that phone as a spy in your home?
Yeah, and funny enough, 'cause they work on Russia issues, so a few times I've, had instances where my phone, I was worried whether the microphone or the video camera was activated to actually spy on me. But yes, here you have this is like Pegasus, which we all remember, targeted journalist. Here you have this graphite tool. And I actually, everyone who is on this, please, 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 I just put out a Substack. Share this information, and we really need to take action because this is extremely dangerous. The fact that ICE, again, from private military force or police force he's building, will have access to a tool that can go into your phone, go into your encrypted apps, turn your phone into a spying device where it turns your how you call it microphone on and your video camera to watch what you're doing and listen to you. This has already been targeted against journalists and human rights defenders across Europe. There were journalists, over 90, compromised on WhatsApp. And Meta actually, put a statement out and dealt with it and took care of it and alerted people of what happened, this breach in December. And now this is coming to ICE. So please, please, please call your state officials, Congress, get it to anyone you can. I call Watchdog, who initially discovered this at Citizens Lab last
So they're
year
here in
when Italian
Toronto.
journalists were targeted. Yeah, so yep, they're in Toronto. So they're the ones who discovered it. So if you hear stories or anything, make sure to get it over to them, get it over to media outlets. Every app. This phone takes control. This app takes control of your phone. So it could go to Signal, it could go to WhatsApp, it could go into any app that you have, and basically, the user can be able to to access everything, your photos, your movements,
And you wouldn't
everything.
know it's on
No.
you just wouldn't know it. So this is called Graphite, right? This is the app is called Graphite, but you wouldn't
Graphite
know
is
that it's there.
No, it's a mercenary spyware tool, and something really we should all take serious because this
It's
is
illegal.
not something that should be in the hands of Trump or ICE or anyone in the government.
Now, the government can't spy on its citizens. I mean, this is a known thing. So this is an illegal act that he's doing by allowing ICE to have access to this. I mean, there's no ways the government can spy on Americans. They can't. I mean, we haven't been
No.
doing it for decades for that particular reason, Well, we have, but through other countries, but not directly. I mean, the Five Eyes partially, they have teams in Canada that might be spying on Americans and vice versa. Yeah, that's a way for them to get around it. But this is highly unusual.
Yeah, no, it is very unusual. I'm very shocked when I learned that Biden actually was considering using this app for the government. But then, after reports from Amnesty International and the Citizens Lab, and the other reports of what this app was capable of, and that basically was another Pegasus, he put a stop to it, and put the contract on pause. And Trump just unpause the contract. What really is frightening to me is that only The Guardian reported this.
Mm.
Well, that's it. Only The Guardian, not New York Times, not Wall Street Journal, not Washington Post, nobody, just The Guardian. And I mean, this really is a danger to all journalists. This is a danger to all, human rights defenders, to everyone, because I mean, anyone who's working on any issues, they will be a target. So
Jamal
this is
Khashoggi's
something.
widow was surveilled by Pegasus, the same company's other products. So, if anyone should know about that, the Washington Post should know about the risks to journalists by, of having these kinds of devices and these tools out there. But you're right. I mean, the media keeps failing every single day. It's just shocking how little they're covering about the things that really matter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this honestly should be one of the top stories today, um, because this is something that will affect everyone, whether you, work for a non-government organization, working on immigration, or working on civil rights issues, or working on whatever, a journalist, whatever you're working on, this is something that really endangers all of us. And like I said, I just put a Substack to put an alert. You don't need to share my Substack, but share this graphite news. Call Congress, call state officials, tell them that we don't want this, because this is definitely not something that we want, them to have tools, these tools to be able to silence us. So.
Yeah, people have always accepted that, you can give up your privacy, you'll get security back. But that's not true because, the privacy giving up that we've done in the last 10, 15 years has actually led us to this fascist regime that we have in power now. That's how they got in power. So that equation of, you get security by giving up privacy just isn't the case. You can get a lot more insecurity because of these privacy breaches that they keep doing.
And again, it's in, who has control of these apps, because, if it's a normal government who has control of these apps, who has no intention of silencing journalists or activists, that's one thing. In this, with Trump, you'll have everyone, surveilled. I will say one thing, that I've done, and I've pretty much live on this. If you have an iPhone, use lockdown mode, because lockdown mode protects your phone from a lot of these breaches. The other thing I will say, you have to immediately, every time there's an update, you have to immediately update your phone. Because I can tell you for certain, if that, even if it's, a few hours that it's not updated, you leave a back door for any government agency to get into your phone. So
So
lockdown
disturbing.
mode is my best friend. It's not the most convenient thing. Like without it, like if someone sends a link, you can click on the link with it. You have to, copy the link and go on, and like it gives you an extra few steps, but it was designed after Pegasus. So you go into your settings, um, and then I forgot what selection in settings, maybe general, and then you'll see turn on lockdown mode. It restarts your phone and puts you into that mode. So,
You use
and
it all the
that was,
time,
but
or you use it all the time, or you use it
I
when?
live on lockdown
Okay,
mode because I was, for a
yeah,
while targeted with various stuff. So I live on lockdown mode.
mm,
Um,
interesting.
Again, it's as good as it gets, and specifically was developed for Pegasus to protect against it. You don't need to download anything. It's one of the settings in iPhone. I don't know about Google. I don't have Google phones, so what I
Thanks
could
for
tell you
sharing that.
about
That's
that.
good advice from someone who knows what it feels like to be tracked and under threat like that. Olga Lautman, the creator and writer and brilliant mind who puts together the Trump Tyranny Tracker and Unmasking Russia. She's a must follow on Substack and a must support. If you can, please pay for the paid subscription. Olga does a ton of work, and the amount of resources it takes to get all the stuff out every day are enormous. So please
And
support
I'm
her.
caught up. Thank
And
God.
she's cool. Yeah, but please, people should really support you because you've done such incredible work for so long, and it's so important.
Likewise, likewise. Same with you.
Thank you. Yeah, but and it's just really important that because people realize that this is not so, this is not a. It's an incredible honor to do these kinds of jobs that we have, but also an important privilege and right, but sort of responsibility. But it does come at a sacrifice, and and
Big
people really,
sacrifice.
if they can support Olga, please do. It's very important. Um, that is the Trump Tyranny Tracker.
And where is your sticker?
My
Every
sticker
day
is
I
not
will
there
be.
yet. I've been busy writing. I've got this greatest heist, chapter 9, that dropped just before we got on the air today. One of these days, I'll get you your feedback on it, maybe afterwards. It's all about the $450 million windfall that Donald Trump basically got. He was bankrupt in 91, suddenly bounced back in 96 as a $450 million on the Forbes 400 list. How did he do it? Well, you can figure out the answer because you've been watching us a lot. But we trace what we think is the most likely, and this is probably, we took rather than knowing, because there's no evidence of this, you can't get the actual documents because that's not how the mob works, and all the bank records are gone. But what you can do is to look at the probability that this scenario is the most likely. And we tracked this down over several different probability analysts, and it's basically that this is 99.9% the way it happened. So we couldn't prove it to 100% because there's no documents, but
Right.
it's the most likely scenario, because all these things could never have happened in the way they happened at exactly the same process that happened, the timeline that happened any other way, unless they were actually doing this thing. So it's a new way of looking at some of this research which you're so familiar with. So check out The Greatest Heist on narrative.org, NARATIV.org. And we shall see you in just 29 minutes. Dean and I think, are doing a 5-stack, although we were on air all morning with the Epstein stuff. I'm not sure if he's still awake, but I will ask him, and hopefully we'll be back at 3:00 with the 5-stack. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great day, Olga.
Bye. Bye. You too.